You're tuning into Black and White Sports on YouTube. The no-holds-barred truth on sports. The main event starts.
All right, Black and White Sports supporters, let's talk about the WNBA players and where they are with the CBA, because we now know, and I kind of suspected this, the players are getting pissed. They're getting frustrated. And which is odd, because who the hell gets too frustrated when you're being offered a four times raise? It makes you wonder, do you really know where you stand as a brand and as a sport in the United States? Do you understand that? Somebody asked me, well, Project B is not going to make it if they don't have Caitlin Clark. Well, not so fast. The reason that Project B will most likely be successful is because they're playing internationally, where the fever and the fire for women's basketball is just much higher and much larger. I mean, let us understand, Russia was paying Brittany Griner $1 million a year 5 years ago. Diana Taurasi, $1.5 million 5 years ago. China basketball is gargantuan. The fever and the fire to consume basketball in Europe and Asia, and every one of these countries got a basketball league. And this is going to be a collection of most of the best women's basketball players in the world playing over there in front of those audiences. Project B may not be looking for a big media rights deal in the United States. I'm sure they would have if Caitlin Clark would have decided to play. But being overseas, I think they're willing to consume at a much bigger rate than we are. I mean, I got to be honest with you. Now that Caitlin Clark's not going to play in that league, I'm probably not going to pay much attention to it. I may check in and see how Sophie's doing, how she's performing. But far as actually sitting down and watching games, I don't know now. I would very much doubt it, considering my schedule. But I don't know that they're looking to make their money from the United States. They're playing internationally. So that's the one thing I would keep in mind about the Project B is going to go out of business. Overseas basketball is consumed much differently. Women's basketball consumed much differently overseas than it is here. Just has more interest. It is what it is. Over here, we like our college football and our NFL. Over there, they like soccer and they like basketball, men's and women's. WNBA players still frustrated as CBA talks heat up. I'm going to tell you, it sounds to me like the two sides getting closer and closer to going to outright war. When tempers start flaring, billionaires got egos. They don't like to be told what to do. After a long, quiet year at the bargaining table, WNBA labor negotiations are heating up. For months, both sides sat in their corners accusing the other of wasting time. Now it's a prize fight. When one side attempts to gain an edge, the other throws a counterpunch. On Wednesday, it was the Women's National Basketball Players Association's turn after the news of the league's proposal, complete with a 7-figure max salary, was reported. Included in the league's proposal, according to multiple reports familiar with negotiations, was players receiving a 50% share of revenue metric that would not include all revenue and would have expenses deducted. All told, the proposed salary model would amount to players receiving less than 15% of the WNBA's total revenue, according to these sources. As the CBA progresses, that 50% metric would not change. The players believed that ultimately their share of total league revenue would decrease over the life of the CBA. The union has since countered with a proposal requesting a larger percentage of team and league revenue, according to sources close to front office sports. Quote, "We have been very adamant from the jump, very specific about what we are going for, and that's revenue share," two-time WNBA champ Kelsey Plum told Front Office Sports. "Meaningful revenue from all aspects of the business. That's not just the league, that's team revenue too. There's a level of frustration because we've started with this and we can't move forward until we get that, to get to a level of where we're comfortable." That's interesting. So they're starting to get a little antsy. They're starting to get a little mad. Frustration, there's a level of frustration. Guys, frustration is anger. That's anger. Tempers are starting to get flare up. What do you do about the players? And this is something we hadn't talked about. What are you doing about the players? There's got to be players in the league right now that's probably willing to accept the 4 times raise. I want to take the money. You're telling me I'm an average player out there? I make an average salary now of $500,000 a year? I guarantee you they have players in the league that probably want this offer to be accepted as it stands. The league has pushed back against the union's request for salary models similar to those in the NBA and NFL. Sources familiar with negotiations say the league believes that the comparison is unfair because it has similar costs but make much less money. That is accurate. That is accurate. That's why this doesn't work out. That's why they're asking for something that can't happen. There's much, much, much more revenue generated in the NBA and NFL than there is the WNBA. While the league's latest proposal represents a significant salary increase, players are more concerned about a salary model that they feel let owners pocket the lion's share of profits. What profits? The league has never turned a profit. They lost $40 million in 2024. Go look it up. The New York Post broke that story last year. At the end of the year when it came out, they lost money, and the owners were getting pissed over losing money, by the way. Quote, "We're saying we bet 6 years from now we will be much better," Plum said. "More money, more revenue, more business than right now. Because of that, revenue share is so important. The mistake is trying to offer money up front, but not being wise about it and not betting on your long-term vision of revenue share being the ultimate goal." I mean, here's the problem. But you haven't turned a profit. If you want to ask for this in 6 years, if all of a sudden the league is actually making $100 million profit a year, and that's not nothing. That's not much. It's not. You started saying $500 million or $1 billion or something like that. Now you're talking about some money, but and that's the problem. Don't ask for it now up front. I get it. You're trying to get it because you see the business is growing, and it is. Somebody said yesterday, well, they're still not going to turn a profit. Well, they probably are, actually, for the first time, because they've got a huge media rights deal they've never had. But if these women get too greedy and the owners still can't turn a profit, and you can guarantee the owners know the numbers, then the owners might just say to hell with it. Y'all go play in Project B and Unrivaled. We'll just wash our hands of it. Because the league is what then? It's a liability. It's a liability. You know? Seriously. But that's interesting that Kelsey Plum is kind of scorching earth here and making it known we're frustrated. Well, I mean, I don't know what to tell you. Again, I just said sign the bigger deal as constituted right now, and then in 3 years, you can get out of the deal, look at it again. And then the league has probably turned some profit, and everybody sort of kind of knows where it's going to stand. Right now, what do they got to compare it to? They got no year-over-year profits to compare it to. It's crazy as hell. And don't give me the conspiracy that the owners are hiding money. Stop that nonsense. Tell me what you think. Peace. I'm out. Till next time.
Thanks for watching the show. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Be sure to tune in next time on Black and White Sports.